My uncle's divorce turned insane when he used identity theft to manipulate family. The truth exploded in court. I never thought I'd end up writing something like this, but honestly, my family drama feels like it belongs in a Netflix docuseries. My uncle Timothy 47M is at the centre of it, and I swear he could manipulate a rock into rolling uphill if he wanted to. It all started when Timothy's marriage to my aunt by marriage, Lisa 44F, was falling apart. They'd been married for almost 20 years, 2 kids together, my cousins Hannah 16 and Drew 14, and on the outside, they looked like your typical suburban family. But behind the scenes, Timothy was pulling strings nobody even realised. Lisa filed for divorce last year, and that's when everything went sideways. At first, it seemed like the usual messy breakup, arguments about custody, who gets the house in Cedar Hills, and Timothy swearing up and down that Lisa was crazy. But then weird stuff started happening. Lisa told my mom or sister that bills were showing up in her name, credit cards she never opened, a car lease she never signed for, even some medical debt. At first, she thought it was a clerical mistake. But then she got a call from a bank about a loan taken out in her name. The kicker? Timothy had been the co-signer. That's when the word identity theft came up. When my mom confronted Timothy about it during Sunday dinner at Grandma's house, he just smirked. Literally smirked. "Don't be dramatic, Sarah," he said, sipping his beer. "Lisa's trying to make me look bad before court, just say anything." But my mom wasn't buying it. "Tim, these are her credit reports. That's her signature on things she never signed. Are you seriously gonna sit there and deny it?" Lisa, who had come to dinner to keep the peace, burst into tears. "You ruined my credit, Tim. You trapped me. You knew I couldn't leave you if I had nothing." The room went dead silent. My grandma tried to calm things down, but I could see the gears turning in everyone's head. Timothy wasn't just messy, he was calculated. After that night, I started paying more attention. I caught him trying to convince Hannah that her mom was lying to ruin the family. I overheard him telling Drew, if your mom really loved you, she wouldn't be tearing this family apart. He wasn't just manipulating Lisa, he was trying to twist the kids against her. Final straw for me came during one of the preliminary court hearings I attended with my mom for support. Timothy strutted in with this fake calm energy, acting like he was the victim. But when Lisa's lawyer presented a stack of evidence showing forged documents with her name, Timothy's face actually dropped for the first time. And that was just the beginning. The second court hearing was when everything went from messy divorce to holy. Are we in a crime thriller? Lisa's lawyer came prepared. They had copies of loan applications, credit card statements, even a rental agreement in some sketchy apartment complex downtown. Every single one had Lisa's name, but the handwriting screamed Timothy. He'd even used an old photocopy of her driver's license for verification. When the lawyer spread the documents on the table, I swear you could feel the temperature in the courtroom drop. Lisa sat there trembling, clutching her purse like it was a lifeline. Meanwhile, Timothy leaned back in his chair with that fake smile. "Objection," his lawyer muttered, but even the judge was giving Timothy side eye. At recess, I went with my mom and Lisa into the hallway. Lisa was shaking. "I don't even know who I am anymore," she whispered. "He's stolen everything, my money, my name, my reputation." My mom hugged her. "We'll fix this. He's not going to get away with it." Then, as if on cue, Timothy came striding out of the courtroom. He looked directly at Lisa and said, loud enough for everyone nearby to hear, "You're embarrassing yourself. Just drop it, Lisa. Nobody believes you." I lost it. "Are you kidding me? We just saw the evidence. Everyone believes her except you." He smirked at me, like he knew I was too small to fight him. "Stay out of this, kid. You don't know how marriage works." That's when Hannah, sweet, quiet, 16-year-old Hannah, spoke up for the first time. She'd been silent through the whole process, caught between parents. But in that hallway, she suddenly snapped. "Dad, stop lying. I saw the emails on your laptop. You used Mom's name." The silence that followed, you could have heard a pin drop. Timothy's face turned a deep shade of red. He hissed at her, "Don't you dare talk back to me like that." Hannah started crying, and Lisa immediately pulled her close. Drew looked completely lost, torn between wanting to defend his dad and knowing deep down what the truth was. When we got back into the courtroom, Lisa's lawyer requested Hannah testify about what she saw. Timothy's lawyer objected, claiming she was just a kid, easily influenced. But the judge allowed it. And when Hannah, in her shaky teenage voice, described how she found files labelled backup ID and Lisa's apps on Timothy's laptop, the room went silent. Timothy looked like he wanted to sink into the floor. That was the first real crack in his armour. For once, he wasn't smirking. He wasn't calm. He was cornered. I remember looking over at my mom, who whispered under her breath, "He's done." But Timothy wasn't the kind of man to go down quietly. If anything, the exposure only made him more dangerous. Because from that day forward, he started trying to manipulate not just the family, but the entire legal system. And we hadn't even seen the worst of it yet. After Hannah's testimony, you think Timothy would back off. Nope. That's not him. If anything, he doubled down. The next week, things escalated in a way nobody expected. Timothy started sending emails to our extended family, pretending to be Lisa. The messages were crafted to make it look like she was the one sabotaging him, accusing him of being controlling, threatening, even hinting at financial shadiness. Some relatives actually believed it, and suddenly my mom was fielding calls from aunties and cousins asking why Lisa was lying about everything. At dinner one night, Timothy leaned across the table, smiling like he'd just won some prize. "See, people are starting to understand the truth," he said, pointing vaguely at our confused expressions. I slammed my fork down. "The truth. You're literally impersonating her to ruin her reputation. That's illegal." He shrugged. "It's called strategy, kid. You'll understand when you get older." Lisa was beside herself. I can't even explain what's happening without it sounding like I'm crazy. It wasn't just the emails. Timothy had also started showing up at her workplace, leaving anonymous packages that looked like threats. One included a forged check with her signature, made to look like she'd bounced it. Lisa was terrified, scared she could get arrested for something she didn't do. The kids were caught in the middle. Drew refused to go to school because he didn't want to face his friends knowing his dad might be in trouble. Hannah, on the other hand, started documenting everything, screenshots of emails, notes on conversations, even timestamps on her dad's laptop. She became the one holding the family together in a way that no adult was able to. I remember a night when I stayed at Lisa's apartment to help organize her records. She broke down completely on the couch, sobbing into a blanket. Timothy has taken everything from me, my identity, my credit, my kids' trust. I feel erased. I didn't know what to say at first. The level of manipulation was staggering. We're going to fix this, I finally told her. One step at a time. We had evidence now more than enough to bring him down. The next day, Lisa's lawyer filed a motion to include digital evidence in the email logs as proof of ongoing identity theft and harassment. Timothy, predictably, tried to argue it was fabricated and that the kids had been coerced into testifying. But the court wasn't buying it anymore. The judge noticed the pattern: forged signatures, emails sent from Timothy's devices, and mere stammering of all the kids' testimonies matching perfectly with forensic digital timestamps. Timothy's smirk started to fade in court. Every time he tried to argue, evidence would hit him like a hammer. And yet, he refused to admit anything, continuing to act like the world was against him. By the end of part 3, the stakes had reached a boiling point. Everyone in the courtroom could feel it. Timothy was cornered, but his desperation made him unpredictable, and that made all of us nervous. By the time we hit the fourth hearing, tension was palpable. The courtroom felt like a pressure cooker, and everyone, lawyers, family, even the judge, could sense that something big was about to explode. Timothy walked in with his usual fake calm, but this time his eyes were darting nervously. He knew the walls were closing in. Lisa's lawyer had saved the most damning evidence for this session: financial records, security camera timestamps, and emails Timothy had sent impersonating Lisa. But the real bombshell was a video Hannah had secretly recorded on her phone. Timothy had left his laptop unattended in the living room one night, and she captured him logging into Lisa's bank accounts and creating forged documents. The moment the video played on the courtroom monitor, you could hear the collective gasp. The judge leaned forward. "Mr. Timothy, is this an accurate recording of your actions?" Timothy's face drained of colour. His voice came out shaky. I don't know how that got on there. That's someone's idea of a prank." Lisa's lawyer didn't miss a beat. "A prank, Your Honour, that jeopardised her financial stability, harassed her, and endangered her identity. We are talking about identity theft here. Not a joke." Hannah, sitting in the gallery, whispered under her breath, "I told you, Dad, stop lying." Timothy slammed his hand on the table. "You're all lying. You're out to ruin me. I'm being targeted. Everything here is fake." Drew started crying quietly, and even Grandma couldn't hide her frustration. "Timothy, enough. You're destroying the family. Look at what you've done to your kids." But Timothy wasn't done. His desperation was turning dangerous. He began accusing Lisa of faking everything, claiming she manipulated the kids against him. He even suggested my mom had coached Hannah. The courtroom erupted into arguments, everyone shouting over each other. The judge banged the gavel, trying to restore order. "Mr. Timothy, the court has reviewed extensive evidence. Your actions have gone beyond manipulation and harassment. You are being held accountable for identity theft and coercion of minors. You will answer for these actions." Timothy's jaw tightened. I could see the fear finally flicker in his eyes, the first genuine emotion we'd seen from him since this nightmare began. After the hearing, the family gathered outside. Lisa hugged her kids tightly. "We're going to be okay," she whispered. "You did the right thing." I approached Timothy, who was standing alone, sculling but silent. There was no smirk this time. Just a man realizing that all his manipulation, lies, and schemes were crumbling around him. For the first time in weeks, the house felt calm. A dangerous chapter was closing. But we all knew Timothy wouldn't go quietly. He might try something else, something more subtle, now that the court had caught him in the act. Still, for now, there was relief, a sense that justice was finally catching up with him. The identity theft, the manipulation, the lies, they were documented, undeniable, and Timothy's control over the family was finally slipping. It wasn't over, but it felt like the tide had finally turned. After the court session, the fallout was immediate and chaotic. Extended family members who had believed Timothy's manipulation suddenly started calling Lisa to apologise. Aunts, uncles, and even some cousins admitted they had been swayed by Timothy's carefully crafted lies. The damage he had done was still there, but at least the truth was finally out. At home, the kids were slowly opening up. Drew, who had been terrified of taking sides, finally admitted he knew deep down his dad was wrong but felt trapped. "I didn't want to get in trouble," he whispered one evening while Hannah documented their conversation. "But I hate seeing Mom hurt." Hannah, on the other hand, had taken a leadership role. She meticulously organised all the evidence, created timelines, and even practiced giving testimony with Lisa. Her maturity at 16 was staggering, and I could see Lisa leaning on her in ways no parent should ever have to lean on a child. Timothy, meanwhile, had started a new campaign of subtle threats. He was polite at family gatherings, but the tension was electric. At Thanksgiving dinner, he complimented Lisa with an almost convincing turn. "You look well rested these days, must be nice not worrying about finances." Lisa's response was measured but icy. "Yes, it is, and thank you for finally leaving me alone in the mornings, Timothy." He laughed nervously and excused himself. Everyone at the table knew exactly what he was doing, manipulation wrapped in false charm, but for the first time, it wasn't working. The court proceedings continued, but the judge had made it clear that Timothy's identity theft and harassment were serious. His lawyer tried to negotiate a settlement, but Timothy refused anything that made him look guilty. That stubbornness might be his undoing. During one particularly tense family meeting, my mom addressed Timothy directly. "You can't control this family anymore. You've manipulated, stolen, and lied, and it's over. You might not like the court's decision, but you will face consequences." Timothy's eyes narrowed. "You don't understand. I did what I had to do to protect the family." Lisa shot back, anger flashing in her eyes. "Protect? By stealing my identity and turning our kids against me? That's not protection, that's abuse." Hannah added quietly but firmly, "Dad, stop lying. We see it now. We won't let you manipulate anyone else." For the first time, Timothy didn't have a comeback. The silence was heavy. He realised that the family he had controlled for decades was slipping through his fingers. His attempts to manipulate and gaslight everyone had failed, and the repercussions were real. In the weeks that followed, Timothy's power diminished. Credit accounts were corrected, legal documents were rectified, and Lisa regained control of her financial life. The kids started feeling safer, and the family began rebuilding trust slowly, carefully, and cautiously. The emotional toll was significant. Everyone had scars, from Lisa to the kids to even extended family who had been caught in the crossfire. But the relief of seeing justice unfold, even incrementally, was undeniable. Even Timothy, for all his manipulation and deception, couldn't escape the consequences of his actions. He was isolated, exposed, and forced to confront a reality he couldn't control. And while some of the wounds would take years to heal, the family finally had a chance to move forward without fear of his schemes. The legal repercussions hit Timothy harder than any of us anticipated. The court ordered a full forensic audit of all financial accounts tied to Lisa, Timothy, and their businesses. Every forged document, every suspicious transaction, every email sent under Lisa's name was documented. The judge made it clear that identity theft and harassment were serious charges, and Timothy would be held fully accountable. The first court date for sentencing was surreal. Timothy walked in like he owned the room, but the smirk was gone. Even his lawyers seemed unsettled. The judge read the charges aloud, emphasizing the emotional and financial harm Timothy had caused, particularly to his children. Manipulation of minors, identity theft, and harassment are criminal offences. You will face penalties for each violation. Timothy tried to speak to defend himself, but his voice faltered. Every objection was overruled. The evidence was overwhelming: emails, financial records, Hannah's recordings, witness statements from extended family, and Lisa's testimony. Outside the courthouse, I watched the family regroup. Lisa hugged the kids tightly, whispering reassurances. "We're safe now, we can finally breathe." Drew nodded silently, relief washing over him. Hannah, always the strong one, stood a little straighter than usual, realizing the role she played in helping the truth come out. Timothy, meanwhile, had been ordered to surrender certain assets and accounts. Any further attempts to contact or manipulate Lisa or the kids would result in immediate jail time. He left the courthouse looking defeated, a shadow of the man who had tried to control everyone with lies. Family dynamics started to shift immediately after. The extended relatives who had been unsure who to trust now rallied around Lisa and the kids. My mom took charge of helping them repair credit, reclaim lost accounts, and re-establish a sense of normalcy. Thanksgiving and Christmas gatherings felt lighter, less tense. Timothy's absence, though physically present sometimes, was psychologically significant. His manipulative influence was gone. At home, Lisa was slowly reclaiming her life. She opened a new checking account under secure measures, started planning her own small business, and even took the kids on short trips to remind them that life could be normal again. Drew began to speak more openly about his feelings, while Hannah continued documenting everything, now more focused on school projects than on protecting the family from Timothy. For Timothy, the consequences were sobering. Financial restitution, restrictions on contact, and the looming criminal investigation made it clear that manipulation has limits. He tried reaching out once, sending a polite but hollow message to Lisa, claiming peace and understanding, but she ignored it. The family had drawn a line, and for the first time, he could do nothing. It wasn't perfect. There were still moments of tension, memories of the emotional rollercoaster they'd endured. But the kids were safe, Lisa was empowered, and the family was slowly healing. The legal system had caught up, but more importantly, the truth had prevailed, proving that even the most manipulative people can't hide forever. By the time Part 7 rolled around, the dust was finally starting to settle. Timothy's legal battles had taken their toll. He faced fines, restrictions, and mandatory counselling. The judge's ruling was clear: any further attempts at harassment or manipulation would result in immediate jail time. For someone who had thrived on control, this was devastating. Lisa and the kids were cautiously optimistic. The house felt lighter, like a weight had been lifted. Drew was smiling again, tentative but genuine. Hannah, still cautious, had learned to trust her instincts and her voice. She even joked one evening, softly but with triumph. "Dad might have tried to break us, but he underestimated us." Lisa laughed through tears, hugging her daughter tightly. Extended family began to reintegrate with the household. Cousins, aunts, and uncles who had been caught in Timothy's web now offered support. Family dinners felt warm instead of tense. My mom, ever the protector, made sure Lisa had everything she needed, from legal advice to emotional support. She became the backbone of the new normal. Timothy, predictably, tried subtle manipulations one last time. He called to check in, sent holiday cards, and even tried to coax Drew into a private conversation. Each attempt was met with polite refusal or a trite premise. The kids had grown stronger, and Lisa had finally found her voice, setting firm boundaries. The psychological control he once wielded was gone. One night, Lisa gathered the family in the living room. "I know this hasn't been easy," she said, voice soft but steady. "But we've survived, and we're stronger for it. We've taken back what he tried to steal: our names, our safety, our trust." Hannah and Drew nodded, understanding the weight of those words more than anyone could imagine. As for Timothy, the courtroom and legal restrictions forced him into isolation. He no longer had the power to manipulate, coerce, or intimidate. Watching him at family events now was strange. He was present, yet powerless. His smirk was gone, replaced by quiet resignation. It was surreal to see someone who had dominated the family's emotional landscape reduced to that state. Over the next few months, Lisa rebuilt her credit, regained control of her finances, and focused on her career. The kids thrived academically and emotionally, finally feeling secure in a home free from deception. Hannah even received recognition for her meticulous documentation and courage throughout the ordeal, a small victory, but meaningful. Reflecting on the experience, I realized how deep manipulation can run in families. Timothy's actions had left scars, but they also revealed the resilience and strength within Lisa and the kids. The experience forged stronger bonds among us all. It taught us the importance of vigilance, trust, and the power of truth. In the end, Timothy lost everything he had tried to control. The family he sought to dominate was no longer under his influence. Identity theft, manipulation, and coercion had consequences, and justice, slow but certain, prevailed. Looking back now, I can say with certainty, we survived the storm, and we came out stronger. Timothy may have tried to steal more than money. He tried to steal our lives, but the family reclaimed what he could never take: trust, safety, and truth.